Hello everybody, welcome to another Kekfila account update for early phase 5. In this video I'm going to be going over my Feral Druid Chick-fil-A, my Mage Kekfila, and another side project I've been kind of working on, and also my thoughts on AQ and going forward in Classic WoW. And before I start, I just want to say I've been streaming a little bit more on my Twitch, twitch.tv/Kekfila. I'll be doing some leveling there, and I'm also going to be doing some more raids because now we have more content to do. I'll be streaming on there for sure every Thursday and Sunday night for my raids. Now, just to get started with my Druid, I'm going to show you his talents first. So, of course, I'm Feral, and I kind of go a little bit more of a mixed spec. It's not a pure bear spec. So I run 13 points into Balance in order to get Omen with Clarity, and then get 2 points of Natural Shapeshifter. And then I have all my points into Feral, and I have Cat and Bear. So I do have Primal Fury and Blood Frenzy. I only have 1 point in Thick Hide. I don't really think I need more. I have plenty armor, which I already have, plus in order to make points available for Improved Shred. Then in Restoration, I just use 5 out of 5 for Fury, so I can use it in Cat, and also it's really nice for Bear for the 10 Rage. Next, in my current gear, I do have a couple gear setups I can show you, but I mainly just use 2, which is just Cat and Bear, and then I do have a Nature Resist set and Fire Resist set, but I'm not going to be going over those because it's not that consequential to the video. So, right now I have the Force patch. I'm looking to get a Guise of the Devourer. Also, I do use 1% attack speed on this just because it does have a lot more benefit with Maul rather than just using agility. I have a Nixia Tooth Pendant. I use Defiler's Leather Shoulders. I had those last time from PvPing with a 30 attack power enchant. I've been using Cloak of Dragonic Might. It's very, very offensive, and that's what I was kind of told to do, but I do have Elementium Threaded Cloak or a Dragon's Blood Cape in order to subsequent that, right, if I need a little more defense. I use a Malfurion's Blessed Bulwark. That's not going away. I'm keeping that. I use Risk Guards and Stability for my bracers right now. Now, I was told if I want to be more offensive, I run these until I get some bracers in AQ, which I'm not currently soft reserving. And then I do also have these Dragon Spur wraps, and sometimes I use Black Mist Arm Guards, but most of the time I just use these Dragon Spur wraps if I wasn't using the Risk Guards of Stability. And then I have Gloves of Enforcement. Got that out of the first AQ40 run. That's pretty amazing, pretty huge. And then I just barely got this, a thick Karaji hide belt. I do have the Belt of Preserved Heads, but this is just better, like stat-wise. I didn't really know about this until it dropped, and no one else really needed it. And then at the moment, I'm using Abyssal Leather Leggings of Striking. That's kind of a big thing. I am using the 1% attack haste on my leg enchant and my head enchant. So it's a really good combo. But these leggings, I can get better ones, but it's not my priority because the other ones are not that much better other than Dark Heart's pants, which I pretty much do world bosses all the time on my server Herod, and they don't want to drop. They don't want to drop. It's kind of annoying, but what do you do? Boots of Shadowflame. So these have been good. They've been BIS. They probably won't be replaced. There is a more offensive piece I can get out of AQ20 and AQ40. If I get them, cool, I might think about it. But these are really, really, really good. And then I have a set of rings I have to change depending on what gear I have. But I generally use right now Don Julio's Band and Band of Acuria. But I do have a Archimedes ring, a Circle of Applied Force, and a heavy Dark Iron ring to mix it up. And then last, for my trinkets, I of course have a Mark of Tyranny, because that's super good, best in slot. Of course, I have a Smoking Heart of the Mountain, a Hand of Justice, and then recently, just last week, very happily, I got a Drake Fang Talisman. Super huge, super big. I'm very, very happy I was able to finally get this item. And the kind of getting this item made it so I didn't have to use Devil Sword anymore. So I'm actually getting a lot more stats out of my legs and my gloves. So, right, thank you. And then next thing we have, it's my only idol, and it's Idol Brutality. I probably will only use this if I want to get the healing idol. I could get it. I don't really care, though. The cat idol is pretty much garbage. But Idol Brutality took me like 5 runs to get. Thank you to a lot of guildies for helping me farm that up. And then, of course, we have Hammer of Bestial Fury. I didn't have this last time. This is from World Bosses. Feels like it just drops kind of half the time. And, you know, there's plenty of people that do pick it up, and I got mine, but it seems like it's kind of a dime a dozen at this point. But it's, again, you have to be in the World Boss Coalition, which is pretty big regardless. And then, of course, Tome of Knowledge, because that's best in slot for your offhand. Interestingly enough, with this, I'm hoping to get the Regalia soon. Last night we did have a raid, and 2 Regalias dropped. 2 of the Warlocks got them. There's still 1 more Warlock, and I think I'll prio to get that after Warlocks. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I hope so, because it would be really, really big for me to get that weapon. And then I'll go over my skills really fast. So I have Engineering and Herbalism. I don't think I'm going to drop either one of these. I'm going to keep Engineering. I don't really have very many Engineering gadgets. I should probably get a Arcanite Dragonling, but that's very expensive. That's something to kind of look forward to in the future. But realistically, these aren't going to be moving anywhere. I'm not worried about my secondary professions. I'm not going to level fishing on this character, and I should level cooking to 300 because I'm thinking about making some Dirge's Chick-fil-A chops. That'd be pretty hype. It might sell a lot better if it has that name behind it. And then just a little bit of consume wise. I'm not going to like show like all my consumes because I have banks and banks full of consumes I have to use for raid, right? And then but I have a decent amount of gold like on this account. I have some things ready, some Arcanums of Rapidities, so 1% haste, so heads and leg if I ever have to replace them, which I probably will. And then of course I have like about 25-ish manual crowd pummelers. I've been using less because it just hasn't been as necessary to use as many, especially if I'm not main tanking. If I'm off tanking, I don't really need to use it. But these first couple weeks I have been using quite a few for progression, because it was like the first 2 weeks. That is technically progression, right? And it's going great, and it has been going good, and I'll go more into that later in the video. All right, next we have is my Mage Kekfila. So first, my talents. I am Fire. I'm currently not rostered on any of our raid. I would like to be a backup or even in a raid in the future, but I have not really passed an audit or really put in a good attempt to pass an audit, which I really should be working on. That should be like one of my primary things at the moment. And first of all, I'm Fire. I have these talents: 31 points in Fire, 3 points in Frost, 17 points in Arcane. Currently with my gear, I do not have a Nef's tier, so I can't really change a lot with my hit gear, but it's pretty good. The only thing I'm missing is an enchant, which I do have ready, but I just don't know if I should wait for a better helm. And I just don't really want to put... Maybe I just don't put as much investment, because it takes a lot more investment into a mage than it is like a druid. So, just to go through all my gear, I do have 8 out of 8 tier 2. I won't show it here. It's not really that big of a deal. But I mostly just use a Bloodvine set. But I do not have tailoring, so I'll go over that too later. So I use a Arcanist crown, actually, for the hit. So tier 1 crown. Orb of the Dark Moon. The Wind Mantle, I do have the 18 spell power and healing. Cloak of Consumption. Bloodvine Vest. Then I have another Wind Bindings. Claw of Chromagus. Rune Fire Grimoire. Okay, listen, I have very bad offhand. I kind of was stuck on a staff for a while, and I kind of had ambitions of getting another staff. But I have rolled a high roll for this. I didn't have a good offhand ready for it. I do have my Nef's head ready to turn in next time I could drop it. So, yeah. We'll see how that goes. Now, I also have Touch of Chaos. Then I have tier 2 gloves, which is very, very good. I have 20 fire spell power on those. Fire Moss Clutch. I also have tier 2, in case that's a thing. But Fire Moss Clutch is what I have right now. And then Bloodvine Legs. Bloodvine Boots. I do not have the 3-piece set because I do not have Spell Crit. I don't have tailoring, I mean. It's alright. And then I have Elemental Focus Band and Band of Servitude. I don't really know what can replace these. And maybe the AQ20 ring, if I could best in a lot of mats for it. We'll quite see. And then I, of course, have a Toe Up. I just got this. Very happy about that. And then I have a Zandalarian Hero Charm. I'm looking for MQG, and I'm also looking for a Nef's tier. So that'll be a lot of fun. Also with my skills, I have Alchemy and Herbalism. I have 2 Herbalisms because, well, I sometimes I'm world buffed and I can't play on one. I like to herb on one. But realistically, I'm thinking about dropping Engineering of dropping out both of these for engineering and tailoring, leveling those all the way up. It would cost me quite a bit of gold to do that, but it would probably be very much so worth it if I was able to get into a raid. The other thing that worries me about playing my mage is actually the cost that comes along with playing that. So with the Feral Druid, the biggest consume for you might be a flask, and you may not have to flask every time because of the massive health pool you already kind of have without a flask. However, with a mage, you kind of are expected to flask every time you play it almost. I hope they don't expect you to flask for Blackwing Lair. I do expect someone to flask AQ40 pretty much every time, or at least for the few months until it's down in progression. All the other mets are pretty much viable and I can farm all those up. It's just the long-term playability of my mage and affording those flasks. Now, I do have some practice now doing some dungeon boosts, and hopefully that can maybe warrant it a little bit more by spending that kind of gold. But yeah, that's my mage. Now to show you the last project I've been working on is actually is Kekfila. Now I hope this can get a name change at some point. Realistically, it's sort of a silly name I made on a weird server. Now, if it's offensive enough, I get reported. It's sweet. I could need a name change, but if not, it's pretty funny when you think about it. Current skills, I've actually been on this other server with a friend. I'm kind of leveling my secondary skills and herbalism up to make some gold. I do have quite a bit of gold, even though I've had some friends help me with giving me some boosts for free, but I have made some gold on the side of my own. And it's just sort of like a thing I've been leveling and getting boosted for the past few weeks, and I think it'd just be fun to be like a dwarf rogue on the server Whitemane. So that's sort of a side project I've been working on. All right, so the last thing I want to talk about was thoughts on AQ and going forward in Classic WoW. So pretty great. We've had our first great week in AQ, all of TL. We still have 2 more raids to go for our 5 raid setup, but I'm in the 3rd raid, which is just on Thursday. It's a soft reserve raid. People might call it 4th raid, whatever. It's a raid central, which is pretty cool. I'm kind of set up there as like a second tank with Bosley. Very good tanks in that lineup, and very good healers. Just we had a very good run last night. Hopefully we can keep that going in the future, and that's mostly about that. The one thing I'm not really that concerned with is loot, because I think I will. A lot of people are getting loot very fast. I'm even getting loot pretty fast as well, and eventually that'll just even itself out. Now, the only thing is that I have to kind of speak out because I am a Feral Druid, and this is kind of an anti-Feral Druid guild, and I have to just bring up topics such as, well, hey, this on the sheet for Loot Council, this item says it's Warrior Tank Prio, or it says it's Rogue only, or this or that, when it's the exact same best in slot for me as it is for them. And I definitely do my research as far as these things, but I just want to bring it up in a conversation for those sorts of items. And I'm not saying that, hey, if an item drops, that it should just be mine, because it is best in slot for me, and there's no way the Feral Druid's hot, but it should be like equal prio or consideration if it is that, right? No, that doesn't mean I get it, because it is Loot Council and it goes to like a vote, and so I completely understand that. It doesn't mean I don't get a chance at a certain item that drops, because I do think I'm doing great work as being a Feral Druid. Now, also with that, talking about previous raids, I mean, I don't really need anything from Molten Core. For BWL, I would like some things, and that's pretty much just tier gear. It's healing gear. I don't want to heal as my druid, but it's just sort of a, hey, I have a full tier 2 set as a side thing. But realistically, I don't need anything for Feral in BWL anymore. I will still be going to a Sunday run for BWL. I did just recently get my DFT, and basically the same run. And that's that was the last thing I needed, but I will still be going to those, because I do also find it very fun to main tank that raid. Now with Molten Core, I absolutely hate Molten Core. It feels like a little bit of a drudge. It feels like not a lot of people want to be there in the first place, right? And hopefully in the future we can sort of X out a lot more Molten Core, or if you want to go to Molten Core, or figure something else out, because I'm currently just not enjoying a lot of Molten Core, especially if I don't need anything, right? In the future, Warcraft logs did just come out with a thing where you can have non-world buff parses. And I think that's really, really awesome. Everybody in the raid has to be not world buffed. And it's just like a whole different thing. You can do speed runs, you can do parse runs, you can just get parses on certain bosses. You can just see kind of where you stack up against everybody. I think it changes a lot of the group dynamic. It's not just full of Fury Warriors. It's not just full of really, really broken shit. And it actually makes the game a little more challenging and, of course, makes it a lot more fun. Now, there has been concern previously in our guild, but lately, ever since AQ came out and the whole thing came out, people have been talking about how big of a pain in the ass it is to get world buffs. And I'm not here to like advocate, let's do non-world buff runs, but I think it's an interesting conversation to have to see what the interest is for that. If not for prestige or just be cool on logs or try something different, you could do it to have fun, right? Now, these sorts of things will probably require, one, everyone to be like max fully consumed. They can't really go cheap out on really anything because we're missing world buffs. We're gonna be less damage and things of that sort. Number two, just people who are like-minded. And number three, it's just gonna take time. It's gonna take, the runs are gonna take longer, so people need to have more, probably a little bit more patience. I'm not too concerned about things like speed runs. That'd be really cool, but it's very expensive if you want to do very serious speed runs, and that comes with the flask of petrification costs. And I really hope that kind of goes down, but I really like that TL right now is on the Warcraft logs for execution, and we're the best in execution of Horde. That just means the least amount of deaths. I was in that run. That was pretty great. And hopefully we can keep that up. I really wish it'd be cool if we had a 0 death run. And with that, I had nothing else to talk about. Thank you all very much for watching. Please like, subscribe, hit the bell, check out TL News. It's the other channel I do TL News on. And check out my Twitch at twitch.tv/Kekfila, and have a great day.